This formation is made up of 3 key layers, and is generally seen as an attacking formation. At the back, the goalkeeper is protected by 4 defenders, a right back, 2 centre backs, and a left back. In front of them are 3 central midfielders, who can be organized in a variety of ways. We'll expand on that shortly. Finally, the attack is led by a front 3, which is generally made up of 2 wingers, or in some cases, inside forwards, and a central striker as a focal point in the attacking phase. This layout allows teams to evenly cover the pitch and ensure a healthy balance between defense, midfield, and attack. That being said, different coaches will choose different ways of organizing players within the 4-3-3 formation. Probably the most common variation used involves dropping back one of the 3 central midfielders into a defensive position where they can provide protection for the back 4 as a holding midfielder. For a more offensive option, it's also possible to push forward one of these midfielders to support the attack, while the 2 other midfielders sit in behind. As soccer formations continue to evolve, one inventive variation of 4-3-3 has gained increasing prominence. This is the development of the false 9. In this form of the 4-3-3 formation, a team's central forward will drop into a slightly deeper, more creative role, linking the midfield and attack and allowing the 2 wide players to cause problems higher up the pitch. This has the benefit of confusing opposition defenders by blurring the lines between midfield and attack and making it more difficult for them to know who to mark. But this is just one of many examples of the tactical flexibility it provides. Let's spend some time looking into why people opt to play 4-3-3. The 3-5-2 tactical system is a system that is characterized by having 3 defenders, 5 midfielders and 2 strikers. It is a very offensive system that is based on the creation of numerical superiorities in the midfield and the ability of band players to attack and defend. This system is generally used with 2 strikers, a center striker and a second striker, although some equipment can choose to use only a center striker. The 5 midfielders are usually composed of 3 central midfielders and 2 band players, although a single band player and a 4th central midfielder can also be used. This formation requires that the 3 defenders be very solid and well coordinated, since they have the responsibility to defend the team's goal. The 2 band midfielders have the task of attacking and defending by the bands, which requires a great physical deployment and a good individual technique. The 3 central midfielders are responsible for controlling the midfield and distributing the ball to the band players and the strikers. As for the strikers, the center striker is in charge of occupying the rival central defenders, while the second striker has the freedom to move around the attack front, creating unchecking and generating spaces for their peers. The basics of a 4-4-2 soccer formation are pretty simple. This formation uses a back 4 made up of 2 centre backs, a right back, and a left back. The right back and left back, also called fullbacks, focus primarily on defensive duties, because offensive width is provided by two wide midfielders ahead of them. Sandwiched between those two winger positions is a central midfield partnership, which completes the midfield four. Of those two central midfielders, one will usually sit back and provide more defensive cover, while the other will roam forward and create attacking opportunities. Finally, the 4-4-2 shape uses a strike partnership, relying on these two forwards to press opposition defenders and consistently provide an out ball for the midfield and defense. Having these bodies occupying advanced positions throughout a match can cause real problems, which leads us smoothly onto our next area of focus, the key strengths of a 4-4-2. Best utilized for the purposes of counter-attacking football, this formation can be demanding, more on this shortly, but when played right, it can also be super effective. With its solid defensive line, its attacking width, and its ability to ensure that players can quickly flock into forward areas, the 4-4-2 is the perfect system for counter-attacking football. This will become abundantly clear later on, when we explore which teams have favored this system. If a coach wants to set up defensively, absorbing pressure and allowing the opponents to have possession, this shape is great for it. The four defenders and four midfielders can line up rigidly in front of the 18-yard line, forming two banks of four, and allowing the two forwards to remain high up the pitch, ready to pounce in the event of a counterattack. It's worth focusing a little more on the benefits of having two strikers, especially because this is something you don't see too often in the modern game. Defending against a strike partnership can be really tough, because you have nowhere near the same amount of time and space as you would against one central striker. Opposition central defenders are under constant threat of being left in a 1v1 situation, which will tend to favor the attacker. Passing the ball out from the back will also be much harder with two attackers closing you down at all times. The 3-4-3 soccer formation has a strong defensive balance, with three central defenders lining up behind two central defensive midfielders, CDMs. Having two CDMs in this position is sometimes referred to as a double pivot. Combined, these five players form the defensive base of the team. They are flanked by two traditional wing-backs, with one on the left and one on the right. Up top, the 3-4-3 formation has three forwards. Although the three forwards can line up in any number of ways, it is most common to have a central striker, otherwise known as a number 9, with two free-moving number 10s playing behind them. The 3-4-3 formation is believed to have originated in Italy, where a more defensive mindset led to many teams playing with three central defenders. With many teams utilizing a 3-5-2, more adventurous coaches were able to make effective use of a third forward in attacking areas. The 3-4-3 is an incredibly strong and effective formation, which is why it is used by so many coaches. Principally, the shape offers great balance with five outfield players committed to defending, the three central defenders and the double pivot, and five outfield players committed to attacking, the three forwards and the two wing-backs. This balance simultaneously offers security and an attacking threat at all times. The deployment of offensive wing-backs provides continuous opportunities for overloads in wide areas as they look to combine with their same side forwards. This front foot attitude on the wings can pin back opposition full-backs, thus nullifying their own attacking strength. In addition, by having both wing-backs attack at the same time, the forward line has five players across the width of the field looking for opportunities to get in behind and create goal-scoring opportunities. This can put immense pressure on defenses, particularly those playing with a back four. The 4-2-3-1 soccer formation is one of the most widely utilized formations in soccer today, with clubs and international teams regularly utilizing it in their quest for glory. While it is seen less in youth soccer, when the 4-2-3-1 soccer formation is used correctly, it can be an effective strategy for even the youngest of soccer teams. The 4-2-3-1 formation in soccer consists of 4 distinct lines or units. The defense is made up of a traditional back 4 with 2 central defenders and a left and right fullback. Ahead of the defense are 2 central defensive midfielder players. Further up the field, an attacking central midfielder is flanked by 2 outside midfielders on the left and right. These 3 attacking midfielder players operate behind a lone, central striker, otherwise known as a number 9. There are several characteristics of the 4-2-3-1 formation that are relatively unique and worth mentioning. Firstly, the formation has 4 distinct lines rather than 3, such as in the 4-3-3. Secondly, the 4-2-3-1 always has 2 central defensive midfield players. These are sometimes referred to as a double pivot. Thirdly, the outside left and right midfielders usually operate a little further infield compared to traditional wingers. In fact, quite often, a coach will select players to play on the opposite side to that of their strongest foot to encourage them to go inside more. When this happens, these players are referred to as inverted wingers. The 4-1-4-1 soccer formation is a variation of 4-5-1 that essentially drops one of the 3 central midfielders into a deeper lying role, creating a conservatively minded central defensive midfield position that could be referred to as a single pivot. This is similar to a double pivot structure, but with just 1 CDM rather than 2. To broaden out the picture, 4-1-4-1 consists of a back line of 4 defenders, a right back, a left back, and 2 centre-backs, a lone holding midfielder, a more advanced midfield 4 made up of 2 central midfielders, a right midfielder, and a left midfielder, and finally a lone striker. The central defensive midfielder plays a key role in the team's overall structure, acting as an anchor at the base of midfield to shield the back 4 and help connect defense and attack. It's this lone pivot, named as such due to their literally pivoting between defense and midfield, that distinguishes this formation from a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 with a flat midfield 3. The 4 more advanced midfielders can be set up in various different ways. Sometimes, the 2 wide midfielders can be brought upfield to join the forward line in a front 3 as wingers, or alternatively, attacking support can be provided primarily by central attacking midfielders. Depending on in-game situations, the midfield 4 will rotate and shift to offer a balance between defense and attack, while the lone striker will tend to remain high at all times, leading the attack and operating as the most advanced aspect of a team's pressing strategy.